Hey, out there, it's Bob, Two Old Guys Garage. Today on my 32 Coupe, bright light on the camera, sorry. I dismantled everything, preparation of cleaning and painting for the final assembly, and haven't done the frame yet, but what I have done is checked all the attaching hardware to both the adapter to the steering box and the adapter to the frame, and I got that established and set up, and with the right depth and washers and maximum use of the shank. I like the shank because that minimizes, when it's bolted together, any possible rotational movement on the bolts, which is highly unlikely, I would have to agree. So what I did is I cleaned the cover plate up, went out and black epoxied that, and if you look close you can see tiny little dots, and what those dots are is after cleaning it up, or actually before cleaning it up, I like the alignment guides, so I ended up punching the guides so that I can use them when it's on the car. So anyway, and then here's the adapter plate cleaned up and spray painted on the top. I'll let that dry overnight, and then I'll do the underside so it doesn't disturb it. And this would be part 6, segment 1, and hopefully this would be the last one on this steering thing. I checked this out. This is obviously powder coated, and of course it's got all kinds of scratches all over it from, you know, jerking it around between hitting the engine, hitting the frame, and all that crap. And it's hard, so I couldn't clean the scratches up. I may just take and shoot a coat of the black epoxy over it on the top and the side so it doesn't look so bad. Anyway, that's about it for today. I got my list of hardware. Oh, I also tightened up these two on the box side of the U-joint. And on my list here is to find a suitable locking mechanism, which would be 5/16 24 thread set screws if I can find them, and 5/16 24 nylock nuts. I normally get most of my hardware from across the street from Lowe's. I'm 1/10 of a mile away from them. That's where these grade 8s came from. And let's see, that's about it, I think, for this segment. I'm gonna knock off and take a break, and I'll be back tomorrow for the next segment to see what's happening and whether I had any luck or not of getting the hardware that I'm looking for. Lou insists that Ace Hardware has got a very good selection of hardware, nuts, bolts, and set. So I think in the morning I'll probably go up to Ace Hardware, and if I time it near lunchtime, they're in the same outlet as Whataburger, my favorite burger joint in Texas, so I might make lunch there. Anyway, that's it for now. Take care, everybody. Coming up to Thanksgiving later this week. Happy Thanksgiving to you all, and see y'all later. Bye-bye. Hi, Bob from the Two Old Guys Garage. This is part 6, segment 2 of my adaptation Corvair steering box to my 32 Ford Coupe. And today is November the 30th, 2024. And I got everything that's going to be painted is pretty much done at this point, cleaned up and painted. Frame's been done inside and out, black epoxy. The remainder of the parts, the adapter, is finished painting. Got the outside done yesterday, and that's sitting there. And then there's the cover plate that I mentioned this I think before, but the top forward front old existing steering bolt on the frame to the adapter plate was dimpled, and when I had tested this out and tightened the nut down, it actually took that corner and dimpled it to fit the shape of the frame. So what I did was I got 2 pieces of scrap from Lou and drilled 3/8 inch holes, put this one inside the frame, put this one outside the frame, bolted them together with a 3/8 bolt, a washer and a nut, flat washer, tightened the shit out of it, took a sledgehammer and then hit the outside of the bolt from the frame outside on the hex head, which did in fact pull in the dimple on the frame. Much improved. What was I going to say? Yeah, so anyway, then I came back and took the dimple out of this, so I had to do a little retouch of paint. And then yesterday, accumulating the hardware that I needed to finish the job, those are the adapter to frame bolts. Tried to find set screws for the 5/16 24 set screws. Could not find any 5/16 set screws, so I ended up making my own out of grade 8 Allen head bolts with thin size 9/16 lock washers. So these are installed, torqued, and blue Loctited. This one is not installed. This one goes on the steering box, and then that'll be the same torque and blue Loctite. This goes on first, and then underneath the car you slide the steering shaft into this one, get the right depth, lock it up, and then hopefully that'll be in there for a while. So I think tomorrow, assuming that all the epoxy paint is dry, a little setback here that we got a cold front coming 2 days ago, and it's not optimum for painting. It's a little lower temperature. So I've been waiting for the heat of the day in the remaining sun on the back porch to do the last items, but they're done. So I'm tired of screwing with it. It's all going to start going back together tomorrow. And I'm going to see if Randy can give me a check as a backup to check what I'm doing. I'm going to pull the front wheels off while it's up in the air, and I'm going to use Lou's new toe-in adjustment tool and check it out. That's this thing right here, these two plates. You got to pull the wheels off, and they tie to the lug nuts on the rotor. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow, and I should start assembling and putting the whole thing back together. Who knows? Maybe with a little luck, I might even have it running tomorrow. Anyway, that's it for segment 2, I believe. The next one will be hopefully more towards the end for part 6, segment 3. In the meantime, take care, everybody out there. I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye. Hello out there. It's Bob from Two Old Guys Garage on the 32 Coupe. Today is December 4th, 2024. This will be part 6, segment 3, and probably the end of this particular project. It's all together. Had some problems. That's why I didn't do this video a day or so ago. Anyway, to start with, Randy helped me day before yesterday, and we installed, hopefully for the last time, all of the steering. Everything was painted up, and one of the cosmetic problems is that the cover plate looks like crap because it was cold and I couldn't get it to flow right when I painted it, but everything else came out all right, so I just went ahead and put it together. I can always pull that plate off and sandblast it and clean it up and paint it better. But for now, it's in, it's tight. The steering column, everything is attached. The double steering U-joints are on and connected. The shaft has been adjusted to where I want. The tack is attached, the directional is attached, the cables are tie wrapped. There was a horn relay underneath there that I had to put back in. And let's see, oh yeah, when Randy and I did the thing, we did the back-to-back, and we adjusted the steering wheel as close as possible to be centered when the wheels were going ahead. And on a short road test the other day, I added a correction factor to that by lengthening that adjustment on the drag link, which put this back that way a few degrees, maybe 1 or 2 degrees, and then allowed this to come from here over to about there. There may be a final adjustment, but for now, that's where it's going to be. Oh yeah, speaking about steering wheels, I was talking earlier about maybe going away from the 3.5-inch dish and going to a no dish steering wheel. And what I forgot was the reason I got a 3.5-inch dish wheel is I need room for my knees to clean coming up and down when working the brake and the stuff. So 3.5 is going to stay. That's what it is. Oh, what else? Okay, we did a toe in when we were putting the steering box together using Lou's new tool set there. And I'm happy to say that it works extremely well. Took the wheels off, tightened them on the lug nuts, ran the 2 tapes that came with it, and I mean, rock steady, 62 inches and 61 3/8, which means my toe in is 5/8, and it's a little bit excessive. So I got it back up in the air because at some point, maybe tomorrow, I'll adjust the toe in to where it should be, which is 1/16 to 1/8. I like to use them at 1/8, so I'll back it off a 1/2 inch, put it to the 1/8 mark using the tools. Now, the reason that I didn't film this the other day is that when I got it running, got out on the road, I had 2 major problems. One was that goddamn clutch not being able to freely disengage and trouble shifting. And the other problem was even more severe. The goddamn car was like skipping and it wouldn't idle. Couldn't get it to idle. So I messed around with that yesterday, and what I did first was, inspected the distributor cap, all the wires, all the plug wires were on, nothing was off. And then what happened is that I took each plug out, inspected the plug. They're a little on the rich side, but dark chocolate brown, not too bad. And then I took an ohm meter and I measured the resistance of the spark plug wire to that particular cylinder. And this is a spark plug wire set that I bought many, many years ago. And it's a Monel twisted wire. And each wire averages about 2K ohms. And I got to this guy, which was different, which means for some reason, I don't know why the end of that is different. I don't remember changing it. But that particular wire was intermittent. I couldn't get a strong 2K reading on it. So I went over and borrowed a spark plug wire from the Angley engine to put it in its place and test it. Did run a little bit better, but didn't cure the problem. Could not run, would not idle. So I was sitting there. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. Hi, back. Anyway, sitting there last night thinking about it, and I thought, I've had situations before where if one or more cylinders were not firing right, the engine still stalled, albeit a little bit rough, but it still ran. This thing wouldn't run at all. So I got to thinking, that's got to be something wrong with the carburetor. So as I was thinking about it, I thought, maybe the power valve is blown, which would cause the same symptoms: no idle, rich running, no way to adjust the idle mixture screws. So I took the carburetor off this morning and took it all apart, put it on the bench and checked it. And to my surprise, the power valve didn't seem to be inoperative. But I put a new power valve in anyway, cleaned everything, tightened it all up. And one of the things that I did was, there's a insulating spacer plate between the carburetor and the block. I don't know if you can see it in there. There's a plate in there. Anyway, when I took it off, I realized that I had not been happy with the gasket between the carburetor and the spacer plate, that was kind of flattened out. So I had another 4150 gasket, and I changed the gasket, tightened everything up, put it all back together, and it now idles. Voila. Well, what was wrong? I'll tell you what was wrong. When I jacked the engine up, you can see here that these rods hit this, and I had to jack it up pretty high to get that motor, the steering box in. Leaving it jacked up and under tension to these rods put downward pressure on the carburetor and took an already flat, miserable gasket and basically squished the hell out of it more, so there was a massive air leak at the base of the carburetor. Putting the new gasket on, more than anything else that I did inside the carburetor, is what cured the problem. So now she's idling back. Still a little rough. I've ordered a set of spark plug wires. Those wires are probably 1972, so you know, they're still kind of old, although they seem to work fine. Anyway, I got a set of wires coming from Amazon, and one thing for sure is I'll probably replace that one on number 5. So that's that. Now the other problem, I have no idea what's going on with this stupid clutch. Any of you have looked before at my problems with the clutch, I had it working fine, and it was working fine right up until I last put it to sleep here to do this job. Anyway, I checked the clutch slave cylinder, did a vacuum bleed, and got like air bubbles out. Well, you know, it's .5 silicon fluid and sitting here. It's possible that some of the air was still trapped, came out, except that this morning I did another bleed and I don't get any more bubbles, and I still don't have a good working clutch, which precludes me from going out and giving a really good, more of a 40-50 mile an hour speed to see how the steering is. But I think at this point what I'm going to do is I got it jacked up in the air so that I can get underneath it and look at the clutch. But I need Randy home so that he can press the clutch down and I can check the throwout and see if there's something that went awry there. And then of course it's up in the air because I'm going to take the toe in and do the adjustment and put it back at the 1/8. So that's it. All right. That should conclude this project pretty much. I don't seem to get much activity on views on the 32 Coupe, so not as much certainly as the Anglia, almost a 2-to-1 ratio. So I think I'll just call Part 6 Corvair Steering Box a success. And if I have any other comments, I'll include them with Lou's Anglia stuff, which I've also kind of done occasional mentions. But there it is. It's a Corvair box. It fits, it works. Also, there's clearance here, no problem. So I don't have to dimple that pipe. I might put some heat wrap around here, but on the other hand, heating the box up will thin the viscosity of the gear, may make it turn easier. Who knows? Still thinking about that one. All right, rambled on enough here. I'm about thought out a little bit of rain today. Okay, so there it is. And this is the final end of Part 6, Corvair Steering Box adaptation, which I call it a success. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Got that backwards. Take care, everybody out there. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.